I do.
All right.
All right. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for the latest Fortra webinar, The Business Value of Modern Job Scheduling. Our ultimate goal with today's webinar is to show you how Robot Schedule's advanced feature set help you address the top 5 IT concerns from our IBM Marketplace survey, which ultimately affect the business processes that you're automating and running every day. My name is Chuck Losinski. I'm the Director of Technical Solutions for the robot product line here at Fortra, and I'm joined today by Mr. Tom Huntington. Oh, Tom, I also wanted to say I'm also on the board of our Q user group. And the Q user was a Minneapolis, Twin Cities user group for IBM Power Systems. Now we're worldwide. We have members from all over the place. We're completely virtual. Good lineup of speakers. If you're interested in learning more about us, go to quuser.org if you're looking for a user group home. Tom.
Hey, with that, I see you also have Dan Sunt from IBM coming to talk or virtually talking on product directions
We
for
do.
IBM
Oh, yep,
Power.
next Tuesday. Yeah, next Tuesday he's going to join us, and that meeting is open to everybody. It's open to the general public, and you can get information on that by going to our website, quuser.org.
That's awesome. And I'm Tom Huntington. I'm our EVP of Technical Solutions at Fortra, longtime member of the company, longtime user of Robot Schedule, believe it or not. I used it back on the System 38 days when it was just called Robot, and it was version 4. So excited to be here. Also a IBM champion, so I keep pretty abreast of what's happening in the marketplace, and just really excited to be here with you today. That's me.
Yeah.
Looking forward to hearing
Well,
more, Chuck.
and speaking of the marketplace, Tom,
Yes.
talk to us a little bit about basically the basis of what we're talking about today and how it affects Robot Schedule.
First of all, a little bit of a infomercial for the marketplace study. The marketplace study is open for 2025. So go to our website, go to LinkedIn, follow me on LinkedIn, and you will see that the marketplace study is open again and we'll be compiling results for 2025. So go fill the survey out, and maybe I'll drop a link at some point in time into the webinar chat so you can fill that out. Anyways, so the marketplace survey was done last fall, and the top 5 items were cybersecurity, modernizing applications, IBM skills, high availability, and IT and business automation. And when we look at that, we say, okay, how does Robot Schedule address those areas? And so that's kind of the premise for this webinar. Last year, we had about 500 people fill out the survey. That's kind of the similar number year over year. So
Yep,
if you
and
want
it's
to
an
move,
easy way for you as a part of the IBMI community to give back a little bit, because the ultimate goal of this is to provide information that we share to everybody in the community. So take a little time and do the survey. That'd be great.
like I said, I'll drop the link in and when I get a break. But first of all, we're still talking here, so it's about automation. One of the questions we ask you is how automated is your IBMI environment? And we want to see if you're running your system unattended during what I call normal working hours, and then even after hours. And right now, about 70% of the market says they run their server pretty much unattended, which, for years we've been able to. It's one of the benefits of IBMI. It's a very scalable, resilient, available type system, knock on wood, of course. And automation plays a big role in that, and creating rules to automate various IT processes. That's what we've been doing for years. Let's move on to the next slide where we talk about staffing. One of the value propositions of the IBMI platform is the fact that you don't have to have as many staff members to operate and manage the IBMI environment. The database is pretty much, it's self-sufficient for the most part, unless you're a really, really big customer, and I'm talking terabytes and terabytes of data. But ultimately, the reason that the system is very got a great TCO is because of the few number of staff members that you need, like administrators. 41% of the market from last year's survey so that they had no or only one administrator. And then we had 26% two, and so forth. You can see the numbers, but the point of the matter is you compare that to somebody who would be running the equivalent on Windows, and they'd probably have, 3, 4 administrators. And then over
Yep.
on the development side, you can get a lot done on this platform. And, often with any kind of automation project probably comes a little development too along the ways if you happen to have one of those applications that haven't been able to been automated.
Yeah, and Tom, you mentioned TCO. What is
Yes,
TCO?
total cost of ownership, right? Which
Yeah,
includes
we're gonna.
staff, server, applications. When you look at the big picture of running IT on IBMI, it's that's where the value is. And then we think about best practices for scheduling. I've always said for years, your best bet is to get down to a single scheduler, and make it graphical if possible, and leave some of those green screen practices behind. You can do that with today's robot schedule.
Yep, yep. And we talk a lot about, and we will talk about event-driven schedulers or event-driven processes where you're not setting up timer jobs. You're not trying to discretely schedule everything. You wait for processes outside to happen and you react to those inside of your scheduler.
Yeah, and keep it simple. The old KISS principle plays a big role when it comes to automation. If something sounds overly complicated, it probably is, and maybe there's an easier way to do things. And sometimes it's really goes along with the next point.
Yeah, Tom, you've hammered this one into my head over the years is granular setup. Don't create a CL with 250 steps in it. What happens if you have to restart, right? And we see that and we help people get over that in a more granular way inside of Robot Schedule.
And then dynamic parameters. The ability to put in today's date dynamically, today's date +7, end of month date, and be able to run. So instead of having people manually inputting parameters or spending a lot of time writing your own programs to do that, let the job scheduler do it for you.
Yep. And speaking of let the job scheduler do things for you, what about those audit reports, or what about those reports that are typically ran manual because somebody has to put in a date range and so forth, turnover reports, all those things should be automated. All those things that are ran manually, there's no reason why they couldn't be automated and put onto a schedule or made event driven.
I don't know about you, Chuck, but I seem to be forgetting about more and more things. So I always run my day by having a checklist of things that I need to work on today and into the future. And what I'm talking about here is, keeping a list that's shared amongst your team so that things that have caused problems that you'd like to automate in the future. Keep that kind of hit list of items that you want to automate as you look at your staffing and the issues that you're faced with. There's always the business is changing, and so are the automation tasks that you need to do.
Yeah, and with all the collaboration tools we have nowadays, it's easy to keep a centralized list like that.
Yeah. Share a
Uh,
spreadsheet.
yep, exactly. So we always talk about management by exception, and I talk to folks, man, almost every week they've got a list of lists that they keep where they go back and they make sure things have run, and it's because something happened 25 years ago. They had an issue with something, and now they manually check that step. 25 years later, they're still doing that. We suggest management by exception, and we'll talk a little bit about that today in our webinar.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes along with the concept of using the tool to automate the automation tool. I've done that for years. I've created robot schedule jobs that help me trigger, service level agreements or whatever else I might have, put those into the scheduler. And then, don't stop with just IBMI. You can automate processes from IBMI on other platforms. And we've been helping customers do that for years.
Yeah, and Tom, you remember
Yeah.
all the discussion that we've had in the past, and this goes back a little ways about COBIT
Yeah.
and various other IT frameworks. So by putting your processes into a controlled, secure environment and automating helps you comply with those IT frameworks that are out there. So we got a lot to talk about today. Tom, take us through the agenda.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about securing your job scheduling environment. That was, remember, the number one item. The number two was modernizing the user interface. there is a graphical interface that comes with Robot Schedule. Enhance those diminishing IBMI resources. In other words, skills, people retiring. How do you get people on board to being able to use Robot Schedule, for example? And then HA and DR, you can put Robot Schedule into your HADR role, and we'll talk a bit about that. And then the final thing is, hey, you got processes again that are complex. How do we help you out in automating those complex business processing? And I have the first topic, which is secure the job scheduling environment. So in Robot Schedule, we provide a display only view for operations, which allows you to look at your jobs and not change them. And I'll show you some of those things. We allow specific features like holding, releasing, doing a job, forcing a job to run. So there's a lot of granular controls for that. You can provide security down to a specific job. And of course, along the way, part of security is reporting. There are audit reports, like who changed what job, and there's the security report that shows how your security is set up. So you got auditing, history, and setup reports, okay? And then, so if we look at the security settings in Robot Schedule, one of the things that is really important, and I'm an old stickler when it comes to cybersecurity in general on IBMI, and I think the change in the industry has won out that position. And my position has always been, if everybody has all object authority on IBMI, then they can do whatever they want. So we've held that stance with Robot Schedule. We can't help you if everybody has all object authority. What's the sense? So, but if you control your security like you should, in robot security, there's a flag you can turn on to say, use robot security flag. Use robot security rather. You say yes on that. Then we will honor your user profiles authority. We'll honor things like start public, group profiles on authorization list. They can all be used in your robot security setup, which allows you to control menus, GUI options, commands, jobs. I'll show you some of that live here in a little bit. And I'll also tell you a sneak preview that recently I recorded a YouTube video on that very topic to help you out and show you along the way. But this webinar will help you too. Then of course we have different authority types like exclusion, display only, change data. We'll show you some of those things. Some authority types where there isn't any data, but I can be excluded from that option or I can use that option, okay? And then of course the reporting. There's a security setup report where you can print out all the security settings. This is really easy to find from the GUI, not so easy in the green screen. Matter of fact, there's not a green screen option for it. You got to know the program to call to do that. And then the audit log report that's in the GUI or the green screen, again, that shows you who changed what job. And then there's other things that people have used over the years from a past the audit perspective, the Good Morning report, the job completion history report. Those are all good things to help out in passing any kind of IT audit. And so this is an example screen from the GUI for the system setup report related to security. And we can see there on the bottom, we can print out a report that shows us everything, or we can be granular and pick what security things we want to see on our report. So that's very, very helpful. And then if we look at the report itself, it shows you that security is turned on in Robot Schedule, and it shows you how public is set up, how different profiles, like I have my Tom H2 in there, and my colleague Kevin has his profile in there under the audit menu where he's excluded. You got use authority, display authority, a variety of different authorities on this report. Okay, and then we're probably going to jump over to live demo. So let me go to my session here. And I'm going to make myself presenter. And we are going to show, okay, screen number 2, Chuck. You seeing that?
Got it. It looks good.
All right. So I have 2 sessions up here. I've already signed on to my system able. This is a all object authority profile in the background, or security officer type profile. Here's my end user. So right now my end user is looking at a job, And if he clicks on the job age LQ, he can go in and see everything about this job. He can prompt the command, all that kind of stuff, all right? So security is off. If I go to my all object authority profile and I go into properties for system defaults, there's a flag here to say use security system. Now I thought I had that turned off earlier, but nonetheless, I must not have clicked on that. It is now on, but we noticed that Tom could go in and just do whatever he wanted. Okay, so what we got to do is come in here under product security. We have all these different secure objects out here, and we have job schedule list. I have GUI connect right here, so I can say if I go into GUI connect, I could shut my public access down to exclude. So if I only wanted my all object profiles, my administrators were the only ones that can get into robot schedule completely. If I do okay on this and close this and disconnect down here and try to connect, and I use my Tom H low profile, which is just a profile with just user rights, not any kind of complicated, it'll say you're not authorized. Do you see that, Chuck?
I do.
Okay. So
I see it.
now I see it. So I want to go back in and fix that. Then you keep a track on my time, Chuck, because I'm, concentrating so hard here.
You are. You're doing a good job.
What if I want Tom H. Low, my general user, to be able to be display mode of robot schedule jobs? Okay. So there is a option down here called the job schedule list. And I can come down here and right now you can see Tom H. Low has change authority. I can change it to display and watch what happens now. So I close this, all right, come back out here. I'm gonna have to connect, make sure I use my Tom H. Low. Sounds like a terrible profile, hey? But I suppose there's somebody out there with a last name of Low, so I shouldn't say that. So anyways, now if I wanna look at my jobs, and if I go into the same age LQ job, and
Voila.
notice things are grayed out, right? I can see them, but I can't prompt anymore. Okay, all those things are grayed out. Okay, so that's kind of cool, right? So that's how I get users like Star Public to be able to just be able to use Robot Schedule, but not make any changes. Now we can go more granular. And if I remember how to do all this, Chuck, so it's easy to say.
I'm rooting for you.
Thanks, appreciate it. So now if I come back here and I want to change this to be back to display only for public. Okay, and where was my job schedule list? Now these effects also affect the green screen. So keep that in mind. I can do GUI and green screen, but I want to allow Tom H to be able to use that schedule list and actually be able to do a do option. So I can come here to the do function and notice I have Tom H Low as being able to use that. Let me change that to no, right? So now if I come back here, actually, I suggest you sign on and sign off when you test these things. The green screen is pretty immediate. The GUI, you may get varied results. So anyway, so now I'm signed off and I forget where we're at. I think we're in display mode still. Yeah. Oh no, I'm in change mode.
Yeah,
That's
you
right.
turn that off.
I did display mode on this first screen. So notice this screen here, I can't change anything, but on these other screens I could. So I secured this option, okay? And
Can you do a
now
do?
I should be able to do a do on this because I believe
I
I
think
allowed that. Did I? Oh,
yeah,
it
you
says no, I
excluded yourself.
excluded it. Yep.
Yeah.
So now I'm excluded. Thanks for keeping me straight on that.
Yep.
You try to demo and talk at the same time.
Oh, it's brutal.
So now if I come back here, I want to allow Tom H. Lowe to be able to use do. I can do. I might have to sign off. We'll see. Okay.
Yeah, looks like
All
it.
right. Yeah. Oops. TOH. Oops. Got to have the right profile. Tom H. Lowe. Otherwise, it'd be cheating. If I did the one with all object authority, that would be way too much. All right. So now I have all my jobs. And look at
There you
that.
go.
Now I can do. So that's the same thing. And you know, so now it's running out there. Okay. Just to show you, where's Mr. Green Screen? This is Tom H. Lowe over here. And if I go into robot schedule, the same properties will carry through. If I look at this job, the initial setup panel, notice I can't change that. All right, but as I go through, I can do HLQ, I can do all these other panels, but because I'll show you that again, this screen here has been basically display only mode. So that's controlling security. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is
Reports?
audit reports, right? So I can go to reports and I can go to system setup reports and my audit log report. And if I run this and I'm going to exclude admin, RBT. These are our internal user profiles. I don't want those. Why is this going to Chuck's OQI?
Sorry about that.
That's all right. So now I submitted that off. It usually generates pretty quick. So if I go down to the bottom here and look at this RBT 534, this should be the audit report, audit log report. And we did do, right? Oh, I
Yeah,
missed, I didn't choose the date.
Oh, yeah, so you got a
Yeah,
long,
so
okay.
now yeah, okay, here we go. Yeah, right. Here's my do override code that I did with HLQ. So those things get audited in the audit log. And then if oh no, I don't want to close my remote session. I want to close the spool file. If I come down here and do the security setup report and run that.
Which is only in the GUI. You have to call a command to get that same report out of the green screen.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly. I'd have to look at the top of the report to tell you. So if I go down to the bottom, it's the RBT 400 report. So I think you can just do a call RBT 400. And now this prints out, tells me security's on. Okay. That was a lot of demos, Chuck. I think back over to you.
But that was something we haven't really talked a lot about in the past. So I think it was really important. Tom, can you see that I'm providing a modern user interface?
You are.
All right, let's talk about the number 2 item on the marketplace survey, which is the modern interface and why does it matter. I think number 1 is nowadays you've got new staff coming on board who don't understand the command line interface or the CLI, and they really don't appreciate the command line interface, maybe like veterans do. So we want to get them on board. So providing a GUI with a lot more functionality right in their face that they're used to seeing might help. And ultimately, that increases in our product in Robot Schedule, it actually increases the functionality that you're going to get, because there are things in the GUI that just don't exist in the 5250. Likewise, the GUI provides a multi-partition view. I'll show you a couple different ways to get to that. And basically, it's more information in one place. And if any of you guys know me, you know I'm a big aviation buff. And consider the old airliners and what their flight deck looked like, their instrumentation. And this is what it looks like nowadays, right? This is what the new crew expects to see. So with the robot schedule graphical interface, you'll see 3 screens here showing the list of jobs, showing what we call the schedule activity monitor. We'll talk more about that, and then showing a job flow diagram. as compared with whether you're using robot schedule or the native scheduler, work job schedule entry, there's not a lot there in terms of visualization. So we want to give you that modern user interface. Okay, so a couple things we want to show you here. First of all, if you're already a user of robot schedule, and even if you're using the graphical interface, you might not realize that there's an option that you can put when you launch the GUI. Okay, you can put your alias that you're using for your connection properties. All right, so I actually have two different partitions that I can connect to with the graphical interface. One's called Wisdom, this one's called Academy. All right, so I'm just going to double click on my Wisdom graphical interface, and you will see it will take me directly in to my Wisdom system. All right, and likewise, if I double click here, I'll go ahead and launch into my Academy system, because there are some things I want to show you on both systems. So here's my Academy system, and all that's determined here under my connection properties. All right, so you should predefine your connection properties, and then you can launch directly into your various environments. All right, so a couple things I wanted to show you is, for instance, if you're new to robot schedule, you know, there's right click and double click options. So here I'm just right clicking on my system name, and you can see there's a whole bunch of options to explore. All right, and we're going to go into these in more detail in just a couple minutes, but I want to point out that some of the icons here on the toolbar are shown here in the menu. All right, so for instance, if you guys are used to the green screen job schedule list, here is the GUI version of the job schedule list. All right, or if I right click on a job, here's all my various job options. For instance, I can get the job completion history. I can do a schedule override. Tom showed you some of this already. I could go to a job that has some jobs that are dependent on it downstream, and it'll show me what jobs are downstream in terms of dependency. Okay. One of the cool tools that we'll look at even more is called the Schedule Activity Monitor. Okay, I'm going to fire that up. Basically, this says in the left-hand column, here's what's going to run in the next 24 hours. Here's what's running currently, and here's what's completed or failed in the last 24 hours. So I had to find that, right? It looks like that icon right there. But just as a little tip, under Preferences, you can open the Schedule Activity Monitor automatically when you launch the graphical interface by taking that option under the Tools menu.
Great for your operations team.
Yep, precisely. And you know what, Tom? We're going to talk more about the GUI here in a minute, so I'm just going to stop sharing at this point. And
sounds like a good plan, because we're going to run out of time otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me go back here.
There's your PowerPoint.
All right. Enhancing diminishing IBM resources. So this is the number 3 issue that we see. Actually, this, I don't know, some people I talk to, this is the number 1 issue going on in our industry right now, is diminishing IBM resources and what you can do to backfill. And we actually have a webinar coming up next month talking a lot about this. All right, there's lots of resources for you, so there's no reason to fret. All right, so a couple things. Tom has beat this into my head, so to speak, over the last almost 30 years. Automation increases productivity. So anytime a new process comes into effect, don't think about how to run it manually, think about how to automate it. We already talked about what the GUI can do for your new staff members. The ease at which you can replicate similar processes by getting your processes into a true job scheduler. When you want to create a new automation task, you may already have one in place. Pretty easy to copy those. Try that in the native scheduler. Not easy to replicate processes. Management by exception saves you a ton of time. Single scheduler, whether it's multi-partition or you want to incorporate Windows Linux dependencies. And I'd also lobby for professional support. All right, we see a lot of homegrown applications, and the people who created those applications have been gone for a number of years, and the people who end up inheriting them really don't know what to do with them or how to maintain them or how to use them for that matter, because there was no documentation. So with something like Robot Schedule, you have 1-800 Fortra that you can call for assistance. So some of the tools that we have built into the tool are for
Oh, Chuck, I think we lost your audio. I'll give him a 1, 2, 3. All right. If that's the case, he's not coming back with us. I will share up my side. And let's do this. I'm going to take over presentation. I apologize. 1 second. I think I might have shared the wrong screen. Okay. 1 second. Okay, actually it was sharing the right screen. I apologize. I was thinking I was seeing something else, but we've lost Chuck's audio. So, basically the idea is the graphical interface really has all the bells and whistles that you were missing earlier. So if I take and bring up Robot Schedule here and show you again the environment, and I connect into it, one of the things that we can do is jump right to schedule activity monitor from here, which is in the modern interface. And this basically shows me what's forecasted today and what's recently completed. Not a lot going in on that system, but I can switch over to my other GUI that I have on this desktop. I got to find the one that I want. That, yeah, there we go. So this one here has a lot more activity in it. So we can see the forecast for today. We can see what's recently finished. I can drill right in to the completion history. I can see job logs from here if I want. All very, powerful things that are built right into the GUI. Now, if I have a job log like this, I can just say select all, copy it, send it over to the programmer and say, here's the problem. Here's the job log from Robot Schedule. Make that all easy. We have the blueprint function built right into the product. So if we go back to the screen here and go into job blueprints, I have a feeling Chuck has his CL daily set up here. Let's see. Actually, yeah, that's our daily. Let me look here. It's showing me preview. Well, this one will work. So with the blueprint, you get something like this, and then you can start moving things around to kind of clean them up. But the idea is this gives me a way of documenting graphically what's in my various jobs. And I got a reload function in here in case there's anything else hanging off of those, which there is. So of course, Tom always grabs the most complicated, and then there's a legend in here. So the GUI provides that. And the reason we feel like the GUI is important to you as a customer is that this is how you get new people into Robot Schedule versus what I had up earlier, which is green screen, right? I mean, I can give somebody Robot Schedule and you can access all these same jobs and navigate through the green screen. But if it's a person just out of college, I'm telling you, they're not going to be excited about green screen. Not initially. They might actually learn to like it. My kids are in the pharmacy school, or from pharmacy school, and they came and worked for a pharmaceutical company, and they love that green screen because it's always reliable after working with it a couple of years. But honestly, that's not really their long-term plan, right? All right, so let's get back over to the PowerPoint here, and enough on that demo. And let's talk about HADR, because that was, another item on there is implementing HA and DR for scheduling. We have many customers over the years that have used Robot Schedule to help automate HADR, or they've actually used us within and they've replicated us. And one of the things that we've done over the years is we allow you to replicate our license keys now too, so that you can put all your license keys into the source side and replicate to the target. We also have people who run Robot Schedule actively on both the source and target side. You also can install Robot Schedule in Sysbase and IASP for those who might be doing Power HA implementations. And then basically in the Fortra knowledge base, we have all the documentation on this. And then of course, we can certainly support and service you. Do you need help? We can contract with you. Are you good at following documentation? The support team can help you in getting access to appropriate documentation. Speaking of that, in the Fortra knowledge base, online in the support area, we give you tips on how to mirror Robot Schedule or replicate it, Robot Live to Robot Live, or Robot Schedule in a live environment where you're replicating Robot Live to Robot Live X, or Robot Live X to Robot Live from the system B. We can do those things with even our Robot HA products. So Robot HA, newer product from the Fortra company. It's been around for about 8 years. It uses journaling, and you can do things like cross-system bidirectional replication. So you could have Robot Schedule active, replicating to different library names in your environment. So Robot Schedule can be used to omit objects in documentation, your work files, your security codes. We have all those things documented of things that you might want to omit. We also work with Power HA technology. With Power HA technology, you're replicating your IaaS from one system to another that's not active. You could have Robot Schedule running in Sysbase here, and actively running in an IaaS for your business data. And then your license keys, and I'll show you that shortly, could even be replicated from Sysbase over to the target server so that they're in place when you actually do your role swap. It's pretty cool stuff. All right, so that's that. And then let's roll into, and I'll show you those license keys in just a little bit. I want to show you that is complex scheduling. Inside of Robot Schedule, we can do holidays. We can handle all the different holidays that you have scheduling based on. We can do fiscal periods 454. So we can have different cutoffs. We have the operator assistant language, the OPAL, that allows you to do different skipping. Like if it's a Tuesday, don't do this. If it's a 15th Friday or 15th day of the month, don't run this. We can check the contents of data areas with dynamic calculator variables, with reserved command variables. Of course, we can do those complex dependencies we talked about earlier, and of course, interactive automation too. And we can even incorporate Windows and Linux tasks in all of these things. So when you think about Robot Schedule, it runs natively on IBM I, but it has the ability to put agents on Windows, Unix, and Linux. Now I can run SQL scripts over there. I can run Unix, Linux scripts if I want. I can check, is a process or a daemon running? I can check for files, all those different things that might happen in a non-IBM I server. We also have Robot Replay. Gives you the ability to automate green screens using Robot Replay with Robot Schedule. Robot Replay does require Robot Schedule. Robot Schedule doesn't require Robot Replay. And we also have some special interfaces into Enterprise One and SAP. Those are two other things that we do. So with Robot Replay, we learn the green screens, and then we can plug those right into Robot Schedule and run them right out of batch. It's a very powerful feature. And then so the enterprise scheduling piece, what we do is we put agents over on your Windows Linux server, and it gives us the ability to run batch scheduling for those environments. Why not? IBMI is always up and running. Why not use your most reliable system to automate your scheduling? All right, a little bit of time for a demo here. Let's do this. All right, so in our GUI over on Wisdom, while we were talking, the first thing I wanted to show you is we have jobs by agents. So I can come in and here's my server. These are jobs that are running on IBM I from IBM I that run over on Windows servers. So when I click on this and I look at my robot schedule job, it looks a little different. For instance, probably the biggest difference is the command area. These are scripts over running on a Windows server. There's also the agent environment. This handles the what should I do with security when I run the job over there. And then in the lower part of the GUI, we have agents. These are all the various servers I could run against, and green means they're up and running. Then we have the agent monitoring events, which is important. So one of the monitoring events I have out there is I'm monitoring my SQL server, and this directory, when a file comes in there starting with RB asterisk, it actually causes jobs to run in Robot Schedule. So if I look at my agent event history, we'll see we just ran something today on the 17th, and we can actually see what other robot schedule jobs are dependent on this file. So here's 3 jobs that would run. So when I go into job completion history up here, I can see these jobs did run. And so for instance, that robot email job I have, if I go look at the spool files it generated, we're going to see both a job log for IBM I and an agent log. And when I drill into the agent log, this shows me the commands that were being executed in the Windows environment and whether or not we got good return codes out of them. So the neat thing is I get a job log for IBM I and I get a job log for my Windows server. No more finger pointing when it comes to issues with the customer or the other support teams. Now, if I go over to IBM I and oh, I don't have replay on that system. I apologize. I have to bring up another session here. I'm going to bring up one more green screen and sign on over here. All right. So with Robot Replay, I want to show you a couple things here before we get into this. One is versions, F10 on my green screen. This is important to that replication feature. Notice we have license code or instances. What is an instance? So if I come down to Robot Schedule, I can actually have license keys for the target system along with license keys for the system that I'm on. And so I have the ability to go into license code entry and see the license key here, but if I press F7, I could have more than one license key entered in here. So I can enter source and target on the source side so that they're being replicated and they're in place when I do my role swap. And so then Robot Schedule I start it and it's ready to go, okay? So I wanted to show you that. Now, Robot Replay is that interactive tool. And I'm just going to show you quickly. If I press F6 here and Tom H replay job 1, I'm going to use my profile and I'm going to call the main menu on IBM I. So I hit enter. It's actually going to sign me on. because it's using my profile. Should have all my sign-on information. And of course, maybe one of my cybersecurity products I turned on that's blocking this. We'll see. I've never had it wait that long before. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, that's my local message. Q, but we need QSysOper. So there must be something in QSysOper. Nope. Not sure where that's locking up. Let's close that. We just won't do a robot replay demo today. I apologize on that. But normally what we're going to do is go in and learn a replay object and just run it and put it in robot schedule. You'll take my word for that because we're going to run out of time otherwise on our demo. So let's bring back PowerPoint here, and it is not behaving well. There we go. Apologize, I was having problems with my mouse. But anyways, we want to thank you for joining us today. Remember, with Fortra, we help you with backup and recovery HA on IBM I. We work on Power HA, BRMS, Robot HA, Robot Save. We also help people with document management, cybersecurity, monitoring, business intelligence, capacity, and automation. Speaking of questions, we do have some questions out there. Okay, first question from Gary. What is the difference between IBM I and IBM Tivoli Workload Scheduler? Well, Tivoli runs typically from a Windows type environment. Tivoli is now owned by not Halcyon, it's owned by HCL. Robot Schedule is a tool that runs natively on IBM I, and it puts agents on Windows, Unix, and Linux. Tivoli runs from Windows or Linux and puts agents on IBM I and other places. So big difference. Probably a bigger topic than I can answer completely today, but at the end of the day, Tivoli is a scheduling tool. It just runs from a different platform. Robot Schedule runs from IBM I. It was built for IBM I, and it is certainly going to be more efficient for the IBM I environment. How do you download the GUI software? As I remember using the green screen robot scheduler way back on the IBM I. Yeah, the GUI is just out on the Fortra portal. So if I were to bring up a browser and bring this, by the way, I sent the link to the survey. Hopefully you can fill that out. But if I were to go over to the Fortra website here and share my desktop, which I believe that's what you're seeing still, right? This is the Fortra website. If I go to support and support portal, and I have to log on, and by the way, we have changed the support portal. It does support MFA, multi-factor authentication, things like that. We are a security company, so we have to be secure. So I just signed on. It's going to give me a list of products that I can get at. I just happen to have access to everything, so it takes a little longer for mine to come up. But if I go to Robot Schedule, and if I go to downloads, it'll give me a list of what I can download for Robot Schedule. And one of them is just Robot Schedule. And in here, install or upgrade Robot Schedule, you'll see here's the GUI. So I would download that, and notice it's downloading to my desktop. So how to download the GUI software as I'm already using the green screen Robot Scheduler on IBM I? Yeah, that's all you do. Install it. It's a thick GUI on your desktop. Connect to IBM I, like I did with my remote desktop. I had the GUI up here. All I do is, oh, that's the wrong connection. Apologize. Let me pull up one that's connected. Is I disconnect, I connect, I type in my user profile, password, and I'm on IBM. So that's how you get into the GUI. Well, all right. This has been a great session with you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. I can speak on behalf of my colleague Chuck, who lost his audio midway, that he would have been excited to help wrap things up, but that's why we have two presenters and we have two people that know a lot about robot schedule. I want to thank you for joining me today. It's been wonderful to work with you and answer your questions that you had. Make it a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of the year. And then also don't hesitate if you have any questions on any of the robot or Fortra products to reach out to me. Make it a wonderful day.